Good everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we have part 2 of today's sub requests, and today we have JDA's request, also known as Arkansas, for the Hurricane Mk IIB as part of the Soviet Union. This is one of my favourite premiums. This only comes in at 700G, and it's a lot of fun, especially given that they give it a bit more ammo in the MGs. Now, unfortunately, I've been seeing a lot of these lately, and a lot of people have been playing these wrong, to put it simply. And it was perfectly demonstrated in Harry's XP38 video because the guy didn't have a monkeys of how to counter a P38. Now, of course, you're not going to have the performance to catch a P38, but clearly that guy has little to no patience because if I was in that Hurricane, I could at least give Harry a run for his money. Let's put it that way. Now, why do I say that? Well, it's because whenever I see a bird getting played wrong, I tend to get a little bit annoyed because they just clearly are showing that they refuse to learn, you know? They just don't seem like they care. And the whole point for me that you're, shall we say, how can I put it? Like, the whole point of buying a premium is to learn its playstyle, use it effectively, and make sure that you can at least counter the majority of targets that you will meet. And a P38G, obviously that's what the XP38 pretty much is no small feat, but it is doable. And I hope we can do some demonstrations of that later today, if we meet a P38 that is. Because not a lot of people know how to beat them in the Hurricane Mk IIB, and it's a real shame because they'll then go on to videos of this Hurricane, call it bad, and it doesn't deserve that reputation. And I figured I'd just open this video with that because seeing that Hurricane pilot just go, screw this and bail out, kind of annoyed me. So, sorry if that was a bit of an unusual opening, but I just figured I'd get that off my chest. But otherwise, it's pretty much, like, in terms of performance, this is pretty much a normal Hurricane, other than the fact that it's got a little less weight in the wings, because it only has two 50 caliber machine guns and two 20mm Shavak cannon, instead of 12 7.7. This in turn increases the climb rate, increases the top speed, and most importantly, makes sure this thing doesn't have as much drag, which is much nicer. Now, of course, it's still no speed demon at most altitudes, but it will certainly do much better than what the majority of other Hurricane models that you can potentially meet will be able to accomplish. Now, of course, I haven't actually experted my crew on this because I never flew my Hurricane in this crew before, but because I have SL to burn, we might as well. I mean, 85 million SL kind of gets you places. And of course, whilst we're doing that, we could work on my daily as well, because in the IL-2 one, I couldn't get it done. I just simply swapped it over, and next thing you know, I've got a daily I can actually do. Anyway, shall we get cracking? Because I think Mr. Arkansas will want to see the Hurricane in good hands and not whiny little shit hands like that guy who didn't know how to counter P38. Now, I understand why he was frustrated, but at the same time, he was doing everything right. He avoided Harry's passes, he didn't particularly attempt to drain Harry into the vertical. He was doing it right, but he just didn't want to try, and that's what was rather frustrating about it all. Is the fact that he just didn't want to try. And as I always say, if you're gonna buy this sort of premium, and you're up against a foe that is pretty strong, still give it a try. You'll still get SL, you'll still get RP, you'll still get things like that. And like I say, it just frustrated me seeing that, because don't get me wrong, the P38G, don't you fucking dare. As I was saying, it is certainly an aircraft that he's eyeing me up. Hold on a minute. I'm going to cut that throttle here. Okay. As I was saying before, that guy potentially could have interrupted me. It's just frustrating when I see people buying premiums and they use them wrong and then either blame the plane or just don't know how to play it and can't counter one foe, and they get frustrated with it. it's just annoying, you know? Like, I've been playing this game for 6 years, and I hate seeing that kind of thing. And someone's brought bombs on an ITP. Wouldn't be surprised if the tank crashed, because unfortunately, I've been seeing a lot more ITPs lately with bombs and rockets strapped. And they do tend to go for ground targets, which is, again, rather disappointing, because I have the ITP, and it is incredible. But yeah, it's certainly something that I wouldn't exactly suggest that... Well, this is an aircraft that I wouldn't suggest it over the other premiums at rank 2. Because I think the P-39K is a more forgiving aircraft, especially given its ammo count. But for more advanced pilots, this thing is definitely up there in what I would advise. Purely because it tests your trigger discipline, it tests your capability against other aircraft, it tests your knowledge, and it does come with rockets if you choose to do so. The only reason why I'm not strapping them on is because Russian rockets recently have been very hit and miss. Pun intended. They haven't been great, let's put it that way. So normally in this plane I climb at about 15 to 20 degrees. 20 degrees will slow you down quite a bit. 15 is about what I would call the goodest point for this aircraft. Like I said, you can climb at 20, but I wouldn't advise that. Just climb at 15 degrees. Your airspeed, you want to keep it above 175 mph. That seems to be the optimal climbing angle for this aircraft. At least for me. Now, of course, this aircraft isn't what I would call amazing in the long run in terms of long-range battles, because you don't have much ammunition. And given the severe power creep of this BR, it is a test to both your trigger discipline, and it really is a test of you as a pilot. That's why I like it, but obviously this may not be a premium for you if that is not your sort of playstyle and or what you're looking for in a vehicle. That does remind me, I do need to re-review the Russian P40. I've been planning on it for a while, and because of the recent matchmaking changes, I am considering re-reviewing that plane in a more fair light, so to speak, because obviously it doesn't fight Sweden as much anymore. It still fights Sweden, but it also fights things like that. Skyrocket, which, as I said in the USA showcase, if you did not get that in Wobons, all I will say is you missed out, because that is arguably the best premium at this BR, or this BR range. So being in a Skyrocket against a Hurricane is pretty open and shut as long as you're above, but in this case we are above because the XP50 pilot is a bit lacking in the brain cell department. Now I think he's realised his mistake, but that's still not going to benefit us. He has a much higher climb rate than I do, and he has much better overall performance, because whilst I can dive a little better than he can, he just completely kicks my ass in most areas. So we're going to be keeping an eye on him. Obviously I'm not going to go for that B-18, that's currently doing a loop. My priority targets are these two over here, and also that Whirlwind. I'm going to be doing a video eventually on priority targets, so that's something I'm going to be working on. And don't be surprised if I use matches like this to indicate what a priority target should be. Like, you might see this footage again, is what I'm trying to say. Like a replay or live footage. Just expect that, because that's what I'm working on. I don't know when I'm going to do something like that, but just look forward to it. Okay, so the 157 appears to be going away. The A6M3 is slowly making its way over here, but it is quite a low priority target now, because obviously it's 5 miles away. And Mr. Ravenstar is going to be optimal priority target, purely because A, he's on my ass, B, he's almost at 7 kilometers, and I really don't want to deal with a whirlwind up here, but I don't think I have much of a choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the flaps to only minorly boost, and he's a pretty good shot, I've got to give him that. I didn't expect him to get a shot like that. Okay, we've got a water leak. I couldn't really dodge that guy. He knew what he was doing. We took a pretty heavy beating from that guy, which I was not expecting to. But as you can tell, the water system has taken a massive beating, and he's just pulling away. There's nothing I can do. With the current damage I have, I'm combat ineffective. Let's put it that way. So we are going to try and go for the 0. Because he's really our best hope right now. Whirlwind is spinning back round, so we're going to try and force ahead on if we can. Okay, 0's going up. Now why do you think I switched targets there? There we go, got the fire. That 0's now out of commission. Now where's the Whirlwind? The Whirlwind ripped, good. He ripped his wings off. So that's a 0. I think he put that fire out though, I'm not sure. But we are currently pretty heavily damaged, so we are going to have to be concerned about that. I'm going to leave him, and I'm going to go for the XP50. But I'm going to cut the engine to do so. As you can tell, the airframe damage is really not helping us right now. Okay, he crashed, so let's restart the engine. Yeah, she's not sounding healthy. 0 did put his fire out, otherwise he would be dead right now. We're going to try and spike him with what damage he has. I don't know if he sees us right now. I don't think he should. Got a nice hit. He's trying to shake me off, but I don't think he realizes how good I turn. My aim is horrible. There we go. My aim is a bit crap, I do apologise for that. But, yeah. This is the thing though, like, this is more of a support plane, but even though we took a pretty hefty beating, we were still able to help our team. We caused the Whirlwind to descend and rip his wings off. We managed to kill the 0. And even though the aircraft is completely shot to shit, this also demonstrates the tankiness and the forgiving nature of this aircraft. Now of course we do have to play a different sort of game here because my engine is actually overheating at this point. So I'm going to glide her in, nice and carefully, restart the engine again, and go back to full power. Now we don't have much ammo, and I'm more than willing to sacrifice myself for Mr. Stalin. I only got a hit. LA5 finished it up anyway. Not really much I could do there, because I only had like 30 rounds, but my aim was horrible, I will say that. Now we should be able to get back to base, I'm not sure though. Because the airframe damage is really not helping us right now. If I just demonstrate, we got kinda lucky. But that's one thing I want to demonstrate, is the fact that even though we was at a severe disadvantage compared to that guy, because he clearly knew how to shoot, I just didn't know that. And even though I tried to dodge him, he was still able to get a shot in that basically put my aircraft out of commission. But even with that, we was able to kill a 0, force him to rip, or force the Whirlwind to rip, and we was able to get back to base. Same can't be said about the Whirlwind. So my engine is failing, but we are okay. We are going to make it back to base. And the only guys that are left are that Spitfire, or Spitfire, Bowfighter. I said it because his username was Spitfire. And that P-39. We're not in healthy condition though, as you can tell. And in fact, because we need to speed up the landing process, I'm going to put the wheels in. Even though this isn't an amazing demonstration of the Starling Cane, it is still something that I wanted to demonstrate because I have seen people throwing, shall we say, bad cards, like people saying, "Oh, this plane sucks, this plane sucks, this tank sucks," yet they don't suck. And I know Harry's going to say, "But Joe, you hate the T14 with every matter of living," and yes, because the T14 sucks, and the only time it works is in a down tier. But that's just how it is. I mean, if you have to rely on a down tier for a plane to work, that really or plane or a tank, sorry, to work, that really demonstrates exactly how poor a plane actually is in the long run. And there isn't much for us to do right now, so we're just going to climb, and maybe, you never know, the gunner on that Bowfire might get lucky, but I severely doubt it. But I hope that really opened up your eyes and everything to some of the things that you sometimes have to do to play a War Thunder match. You may not get ace games, I mean we only got 1 kill, but this perfectly demonstrates how making sure that a specific target is either made into a worse situation than before, or at least being able to kill a target that is what would be seen as important. That's something that I hope was at least put into your mind there. 6th place on the team, only 1 kill, but I'll take the Whirlwind as a 2nd kill because he did rip his own wings off. And even though we didn't get my daily done, I still hopefully drilled some information into your minds there. But like I said, seeing that Hurricane flown completely, well, shall we say lazily, by that pilot in Harry's XP38 video really put a bee in my bonnet. So I thought, if I bring it up and showcase what he could have potentially done, and obviously the Whirlwind pilot is the Whirlwind's a bit more maneuverable than the P38 for some parts, so that's not really a practical demonstration. But even then, we did force him to commit a mistake, and he did rip his wings off. Even if you can't outright kill the aircraft yourself, you can still at least force them to drop their altitude and make a mistake. And that's what that pilot should have tried to do against Harry, but he was too lazy. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video on the Hurricane Mk IIB, and obviously the mornings, well, it depends on your time zone really, but for me it's the morning. And this morning's video for the IL-2M Type 3, and I will catch you all on the next one.